So today we'll be focusing mostly on object creation and method creation, different ways to create object and different types of methods that are available in Java. We'll discuss more on that. Fine. So let's start our Eclipse. We have already started Eclipse. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project in Eclipse. Fine. Over here, this is the project explorer. You may see something different like package explorer and something navigator. So don't worry, they're all the same thing. If when you need to create a new project, new Java project, right click on the left open space, click on new, and you don't see Java over here, so you can click on other and you can type Java to filter it out. A Java project. Next, the name of the project is object creation. Example. Fine. Now we have this object creation example. Okay. When you want to just be very much sure, very much confirm that this is a Java project, just look at this J icon on top of the project. When you first create any Java project, you will see a src folder. This is the source folder in which we basically keep our Java files or anything, any source file, any supporting file we're going to put into this. The second thing that I have not yet talked about, this is basically the runtime environment. Okay, and you can see the version of Java that we're using is Java SE 1.8. Okay, this is the Java Standard Edition 1.8 version. So what this is actually, when we create a new Java project, we're going to write certain code in this source folder, right? We're creating certain source folders, certain Java files within this src folder, right? So these code are going to be executed, going to be compiled and executed by Java, right? So to support this code, like we should have certain basic things in Java which you can use in our code. So these things are present in this library. Okay, you can see this runtime library. So there are lots of things available. So these are all packaged and available with Java when you download and install it. So we are using Java 1.8 in our code. We don't select anything, but it's automatically selected while creating the project. So let's create a new class. So you can right click on this, click on new and Java class. Otherwise you can use the shortcut Control N. And here is the window where you want to create a new class. Click on next. It will ask you for the name of the class. Name of the class is going to be object creation example 1. Click enter. Now we'll have a class. Okay, this is the Java class which is created. You can see it's very simple, public class. So the rule for Java to create a class is to have this keyword. Class has to be present. Then name of the class. And these are the two curly braces. Within that we are going to write our code. Okay. So now we have created a class. But there is one more thing. We have seen this public is present. So why this public? See, this project that we are creating, it's going to contain a lot of classes, right? Generally, a Java project contains a lot of classes. So if we want to use this class, from a different class, understood? From a different class, then this class should be available publicly. If this class is private, nobody can access it. Okay? And if a class is made private, it cannot be accessed. That means a class doesn't have any meaning if we make a class private. So never make a class private, it will give you some error. Right? A class can never be private, it only can be public. Okay, so now we have a class, we have created it, and you can see the class is saved. But it doesn't contain anything. So simply, when a class contains nothing, it doesn't mean anything, right? So what we are going to do right now is we are going to put something into this class. A class is something which can have certain parameters or variables and certain functionalities or functions. Okay, so let's create a variable. I want to create an integer variable. Integer x equals to 10. Very simple. This class is having just one integer variable. what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another variable int y equals to 20. I'm going to create some more variables as well. So for example, string name equals to, okay, I have used my name. Fine. So now we have three variables in this class. Okay. Fine. Now this class is having three variables, but it's just the code. We are just looking at the code. It doesn't have any physical existence. We cannot use this class until this class is loaded into memory. Let me give you one example. Suppose you are having a movie. Okay. You are having a movie.mp4 file. Okay. That is located in your hard disk. Perfect. Until you go into that folder and double click that movie or open that movie in VLC or some media player, that movie is having no meaning at all. You cannot know what is there, right? So when you double click or when you start that movie, what happens actually? It is read from the secondary disk. It is read from the hard disk or the secondary storage, and it is loaded into your primary memory. Okay. Similarly, this class is like a movie only. Okay. It's there within your hard disk, but it doesn't have any meaning. How to make this class alive? How to make this class work for us? How to make this class have some physical existence? Only when we can do that, only when we load that into our memory, okay, into our primary memory, then only this class will have some existence, and that thing is called object. Okay, so this is just a class. It has no meaning, nothing. When it is going to have a meaning? When we create object of that class. Understood? So let me show you how we can create the object of the class. Okay, to create the object of a class, basically what we are doing, we are constructing the object. Where? Okay, we are constructing or creating the object. So Java has a meaningful name which says that if you want to create a class, you need to write a constructor. You need to call a constructor. So constructor is something, it's just a method or something which is having the name same as the class name. So the name of the class is object creation example 1. Copy this one, right click, copy, and the constructor will have no return type, public, because this object is not going to be created just within the class. This class has a boundary. Okay, if you look at the boundary, this curly brace to this curly brace is the boundary within which these class elements are present. But what I want to create this class's object from somewhere else. I may not be interested to create the object from within this class. I may be interested from a different class which is present in this package. So if I want to create the object, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call the constructor of this class. Okay, the constructor is having the same name as the class name. Constructor is going to be public so that others, somebody who is present outside the class, can call this constructor. And it looks very similar to a method. See, I have given these two brackets and it will have its own body. Understood? Now this constructor will be called from outside. When somebody is calling my constructor, suppose I want to display something into screen. I want to say that my object is being created, or object creation example 1 is constructed. So I want to print something into console. So I will use system.out.println. My object is being constructed. Now this my is not meaningful. I want to give the name of the class. Okay. This class object is being constructed. Fine. And we can leave the rest. Now you can see the class is created. It is having 2-3 variables and it is having a constructor. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to create another class so that I can basically see how this object of this first class can be created. So I'm going to go to the same default package, create a new class, Control N, double click on class, and I'm going to use this one, object creation runner because this class is going to have a main method. I've just given the name, and this class is going to create the object. So we're going to start our code from this class, object creation runner. Okay. Now you can see there are two different classes which are present, object creation example 1 or object creation runner. So let's give this class, actually it is confusing, let's give this class like class 1 so that it will be understood by everyone. So to do that, I can right click on the class, go to refactor, click on rename, and I can give a good name like class 1. Click on finish. Now I can see this is the class 1 which is already present. I have created public class 1. It is having integer xy and a string variable and a constructor. And as you know, we can give comments in Java using two double slashes, forward slashes. It is a single line comment. This is the constructor. Fine. And when I'm creating the object of this class 1, it is going to say that class 1 object is being created. Now I'm going to go to object creation runner, this class. And if I want to run this class, what I can do? I can have a main method. So just type main and control space. If you double click on this line.
I then got one question.
Okay, go on.
Question is, can we write whole program in single file?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Is there any advantage or something you are creating multiple?
See, everything has its own meaning. If you own a flat, we have a bedroom, we have a dining room, right? Similarly, if you are creating a software, if you are creating a project, you should have specific thing for specific functionality, right? So this class will have its own business logic, what it is going to do, and this is the software runner. Okay, so from this we are going to start. We enter from the hall, not from the bedroom. Similarly, every functionality of class 1 should reside over here, and all functionalities to run the software should be in a different class. But if you want to stay in the same bedroom, if you want to eat there, it's possible, but we don't do that, right? So we just have this class 1. Within that we can have the main method which is going to run, or we can have a different class who is going to run and create object of class 1. We can have this class to start our application, and if it needs class 1's object, it will create the object of class 1. Is it okay, Avinash?
Yes. It's okay.
Okay, fine. So now I have the main method. If I want to run the class, if I want to run this class or run this project, I can right click on this main method, go to run as, and click Java application. But if I do that, it doesn't have any body. You can see it doesn't have any body. It just has a method. No logic is present. It's not going to give us any output. Okay. If somebody is saying you, one second. If somebody is saying you, if you have a main method in Java and it doesn't have any content, if you try to run it, is it going to give you an error? No. It's never going to give any error. Neither it will give you any output. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create the object of class 1. Perfect. This class 1 is containing something which I need to know, which I need to access, which I need to work upon. So what I need to do is create an object of class 1. To create an object of class, it's very similar to creating a variable. When I create a variable, how do we create? First we define the type, then name of variable, then equals to the value. Similarly, creating object is very similar. First we need to define the type or the class name, then the reference name, or this was the variable name, now it's a reference name. We are going to give an assignment operator, and we are going to call new and class name, and this is called the constructor. Are you getting me? So how am I going to do that? I'm going to give the class name and its reference. So class name is class 1 because I want to create object of class 1, right? Class 1 space class 1 reference equals to new constructor of which one? The class 1's constructor that I'm going to call. New class 1 and 2 brackets, that's it. Now, when we execute this much, when Java executes this much, it creates an object. What is object creation? It is basically giving a life to a class or loading the class into memory. This class itself, it doesn't do anything unless we create the object of it. Till now, nothing is done. But when we run the code from here, line by line, these lines will be skipped by JVM because they are they are comments. When I reach this line, it's going to create a new object of class 1 because I'm calling the constructor. Okay. Now if I run this class, see, this is just, if I run this class is having a main method, and when this main method is executed, it is creating the object of class 1. And when the class 1 object is created by calling the constructor, if you control and click on this new class 1, it is going to take you to the constructor. So when I call this new class 1, it's going to execute this body. It is going to print class 1 object is being constructed. Am I clear?
Yes.
Okay, so let's run this main method. Right click, run as Java application, and you can look at the console. It says class 1 object is being constructed. And who is giving this output? The constructor is giving this output. Understood? This constructor is called the default or dummy constructor. It doesn't have anything. It's just a dummy thing. It doesn't have any reality. Okay, we don't have any logic written inside that. So I hope everyone has understood how we can write a dummy constructor. Yes, Anya, go on.
If constructors have parameters.
Yeah, we're going to that. Don't worry. We're going to that. So you understood how to create a default or dummy constructor?
Yes, sir.
Great.
And one more question, sir.
Go on.
Who is calling to main method, sir?
Perfect.
Is called by JVM?
Yeah. See, you are the person who is executing the code, right?
Yes, sir.
So what you are doing, how do we execute the code? Do you remember the first class when I said to execute a code, we give the command Java space name of the class, right? So you are writing this command in a console and you are calling Java executable file. So when you call the Java executable file by calling java.exe or just Java, that Java executable is responsible for calling your Java class. So the object of Java, your Java class, is being created by the Java executable. We give the command Java space the name of the class, right? If you remember, first what we do, we give Java C, then class file dot Java extension. What is happening from this? We have a class file dot class file. So this is created, right? And within this class, we have our class with main method and everything. So the next step is to run that, right? So we give the command Java space class file or class file, whatever we have. So now this Java executable is calling our class file. That means Java executable is creating the object of the main class. Now when I right click on this and I say run as and I click on Java application, what Eclipse does in the background? Eclipse calls Java space name of my class. So this object is created by Java executable or java.exe file. Okay, you can find the java.exe in your C program files, Java, JDK, bin. Within that you can find java.exe file. So that is created by Java executable. Clear? Okay. So I believe everyone has understood this. So let's go to the next example in which I'm going to give you a real example of object creation and the problem that we face when we do with dummy constructor. If we go ahead with dummy constructor or default constructor, what are the problems that we are going to face?
So Arya, one question.
Sure.
In our program, there is a main method, okay?
Okay.
And
Your voice is breaking.
so in my program,
Okay.
main method is there also. So which one will be executed first, constructor or any other method?
I didn't get you properly, but what you said is when your class you have a main method and a constructor.
And also so many methods are there.
Okay, so many methods are there, right? But you have a main method as well. See, as per
Correct.
OOPS concept, object-oriented principle concepts, nothing in any OOPS language, say for example Java, nothing in Java is possible without creating the object. That is the first rule. So when you want to call a method, like you want to call the method, that is main is a method, right? So if you want to call the main method, before that you need to have the object. Perfect. To create the object, what we need? We need to call the constructor.
Okay.
So first.
So where is the constructor for main method?
Okay, where is the constructor? In this class, what we are seeing right now, where is the constructor present? Are you asking that?
No. You said any method when you are calling, right?
Okay.
Because you need to create an object.
Perfect. We need to create
to
the
call
object.
that method. So in this program, to write public class object creation runner. I started writing public static void main string argument.
Okay.
Then I am writing print statement.
Okay.
So in this case, I have not defined the constructor to create the object for main method.
Perfect. So that's the reason I said you. If you want to have if you want to just call the main method, then even then also you need to have the object. But we are not creating the object. Who we are giving the responsibility? We are giving the responsibility to Java executable. We say Java space object creation runner. So Java will create the object of object creation runner. Okay, once Java has created that object, which we don't see, because actually at least we need to have an entry point. So Java will do that for us, and Java will call the main method. Every class, any type of class that you write, it has its default constructor, like it's present by default. Even if you don't write, it's there.
Okay, that is only for main method, right?
No, not for main method. Any type of class that you have. Any type of class that you have, it will have its default constructor for sure. If you are having a main method, then you are giving Java the responsibility to call that main method. Java will create the object on its own, and Java will call its main method.
Okay, got it.
But that is one thumb rule. Just remember this: nothing is possible in object-oriented language without creating the object. Okay, great. So, should I proceed to the next part?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Anyone else having anything else to ask? Seems great. Okay. So now I'm going to create a new class, okay, or a new project altogether. So this project is going to have a class which has actually some meaning. The last class that we created didn't have any meaning. We're going to take one example from our real world. Then we're going to construct a class, okay, and then we're going to write a code who is going to make that class alive, who is going to put life into that class. That means who is going to call the constructor of that class. So let me give you one example, new Java project I'm creating. So I'm going to create a students system. Okay, this is, for example, project name is student system. Seems it is visible to all of you. Fine. Student system. Okay. Now the project is created. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new Java class. Okay. Name of the class is called student. So class is just like a template which is going to hold different properties and different functionalities. So student is a class who is like a template, and it is going to have certain properties and certain functionalities. Let me give you the example of a student. Let me give you the properties of which are possible of a student. A student can have a roll number, integer roll number. Perfect. Similarly, a student can have a name. A student can have a mark. Sorry. Perfect. These are the basic or mandatory thing. If I am going to say student 1, it is mandatory that that student is having a roll number, it is having a name, it is having a mark. If I am saying student 2, he is also going to have his own roll number, name and mark. So these two students are going to have two different type of value. But the properties are same. All of them are having roll number, all of them are having name, mark, etc. etc. We can have even more parameters, but let's keep it simple. This is it. Now this is a class. When I create the object of the class, when I want to say that I'm going to define a new student, I'm going to give a life, like I'm going to load this student class into memory. Okay, then what I'm going to do, I'm going to call the constructor. I don't, as you said, we don't have any constructor right now. We don't see that. But Java is automatically injecting one constructor in that. That is a default constructor. So we're going to call that default constructor to create us the student object. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new class. And I'm going to call it student runner, because this class is responsible for running the student application for me. Enter. I'm going to have a main method. Over here, I'm going to create a new student. Let's call that student Akash. So this reference is all up to you. Whatever name you want to give it, you give it. Whatever reference name, it's a meaningful name. It should be a meaningful name. New student. Am I clear? So now I have created a student. I have loaded the student class into primary memory, into my RAM. And when this is executed, new student, a new memory location is allocated in which it is having the object of the student class. Okay, the student class object is created in RAM, and that reference value or that memory location is stored within Akash. Okay, so whenever I say Akash.do this, it is going to go to that memory location and it will try to do that. Understood? So let me create one more example, one more student. And in a class or in a single scope, see, this is the scope. Whenever I say scope, try to look at the nearest curly braces. Over here, I am trying to do something and I'm having a curly brace, the nearest curly brace. Within the current scope, within the closest scope, you can never have two named parameters to students, to animals, to cars or whatever, or to variables with the same name. Student Akash is already there. I cannot have another student Akash. So it's a duplicate variable. So I'm going to create it, suppose Priya. Fine. Now, when this statement is executed, it is creating a memory location and that memory location is saved into Akash. So whatever I do on Akash, it's going to be done on that memory location. Similarly, this Priya is executed, it's creating another memory location. Now this new student is creating memory location 1 and this is creating memory location 2 or something which we don't know, but they are different. Now I have two student objects. Okay, one object is being referred by Akash reference, second object is being referred by Priya reference. What I want to do is I want to print their values. I want to print the name of, or I want to print the roll number of Akash. I want to print the roll number of Priya. To print something, I am going to write sysout. Okay. Say for example, I want to print Akash dot roll number. You can see Akash dot roll number. It's going to print the roll number of Akash. So let's do one thing. Let's save it. Let's try to run this. Right click, run as Java application. It says 0. Okay. We have not set anything, but by default integer values, they will have the value which is called 0. If I want to set the roll number of Akash, what I do when I create the Akash, when I create the Akash object, I want to say that Akash is having the roll number Akash dot roll number equals to 123. Now the roll number of Akash object or this Akash reference is pointing to a memory location where a student object is present, and I have set that student object's roll number as 123. If I print Akash.roll number, it's going to give me the roll number of Akash that I have set over here. It is very simple. Right click, run as Java application. It's going to print 123. Similarly, I'm going to set the roll number of Priya dot roll number equal to 254. Similarly, I can set Akash dot name equal to Akash Kumar. Priya dot set name equals to Priyanka. So for example, then one more parameter is there, Akash dot mark equal to 95. Priya dot mark equal to 7. Now you can understand I have created two objects. The first object is created over here. Once that object is created, I am setting the value of that object. I am setting that value, object's value, by referring to the memory location. This Akash is pointing to that location, the object which is created, and I am going to that location, and dot is the operator to access the value or the property or the function which is present within this object. So what I am doing, I am going to that object's location. Using dot, I am accessing that object's property. Property name is roll number, and I am setting some value. Now I have created two objects and I have set their property respective values. Okay, now two objects are created with the respective value. When I say Akash.roll number, it's going to give me Akash roll number. Similarly, I can have Akash dot, okay, let's make it name, roll number and mark. So when I print this, when I run this code, it's the main method which will be executed. It will create two objects, and when I say sysout, it's going to go to this Akash reference and it's going to get the value of name property of Akash, and it is going to print that. Similarly, Akash roll number it will bring and it will print that. Akash mark also it will print. Right click, run as Java application. So it says Akash 123 and 95. So is it clear? No difficulty in this?
Yes, not difficult.
One question.
Okay.
So here you were creating an object and printing that roll number, name, and mark,
Right.
right?
Yes.
But we can directly print the roll number, name, and mark here. So what's the use of creating object Akash in this case?
What's the use of creating Akash in this case?
Yes.
Okay. So you mean to say, why am I creating these three statements? Rather, I can directly write 95, sorry, name Akash, over here the value, right? Isn't it?
Correct.
Correct. Now,
Yes.
So, okay. So as I said you initially, a Java class, it contains not only the property. It doesn't contain the property. It contains some functionality as well. Okay. So when I talk about functionality, the functionality depends on its properties. Okay. I'll give you one example. Say I'm having a circle. Okay. I'm having a circle as a class. Okay. A circle will have some properties. So tell me the property that a circle can have. Circle has a property which is called as the center point. The location of center point. It will have its own XY coordinate.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
And it will have its radius as well. Then only we can say this is a complete circle. Perfect. So when I have a circle class created with its own center and radius, Then if I say to this circle object which I am creating out of it, when I create the circle object, when I say circle dot get me your perimeter, okay, or circle dot get me your area, right, then what this functionality is going to do, it is going to look at its own center, its radius, then it is going to calculate something. Okay, I'll give you that example, it will be more clear. Right now let me tell you, this object that I'm creating, I'm just setting the values. It's a hard-coded way of setting the values. We were targeted to set the value with the help of constructor. Okay, I'll give you the example of circle just after this. Okay, Devasya, just hold on and just if just remind me what is the essence of doing this. I'll tell you. Just right now, let me give you the example of constructor. Then I'll come to this example of circle and shape and everything.
Mhm.
Okay, so now this is clear, at least how we are setting the value, how we are accessing the value, that is clear. Perfect. Okay, anyone having any doubt in this? How basically we are creating the class object and how we are setting the value to that specific object. That is clear. So let me give you the example of circle which Devashish has raised. Okay, so I'm going to do one more, I'm going to create one more project actually. Right click, new Java project. Object creation example 2. In this, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new class. The class name is circle. Okay, and as I have already told you, circle or any class, when you say about it, if you're thinking of a class, it should have its properties. So properties in Java are called the variables. So what I'm going to call int x, int y, and int radius. Fine. Now this can be like, this is something a circle is having. It doesn't have anything else. At least these are the things a circle should have. Now, when I want to create an object of circle, okay, when I create the object of circle, I'm going to call the constructor. Constructor is written like this: public, name of the same class, circle. Now the constructor is created. But if I want to create two circles, two different circles with two different xy coordinate, two different radius values, what can I do? While creating the constructor or while creating the object of the circle, I should say that
It's 11 o'clock.
int x, use this x coordinate, use this y coordinate, x coordinate, y coordinate, and use this radius values dependent. Okay, so when somebody is creating the object of circle, he is going to call the constructor of circle, right? So when he calls the constructor of circle, he passes three arguments, he passes three values. He says that create me a circle with 1, 2, 5. That means it will start the circle at center 1, 2 xy coordinate with radius 3 or 5. So what I want to do is I want to save these three values. These are the three values. I want to save them into my circle's own properties. So how to do that? I'm going to set x equals to x coordinate, y equals to y coordinate, radius equals to radius value. And this circle class, it will have one property, one functionality which says that give me the area of circle. So I can have a function which is going to be public, return type, say for example it's a float return type, calculate area, float area equals to 3.14 multiplied by radius multiplied by radius. Okay, if somebody is creating the circles object, he is bound to give three parameters, that is the x coordinate, y coordinate and radius of circle. Once these three values are given, the circle object is created or the circle is loaded into memory. And once the circle constructor is created, the circle is basically taking these values and copying it into its own x and y coordinate. When somebody is calling on that object, give me the area, it is going to take the example, take the help of its radius and calculate the area and return the value of area. So what I am going to do now is I am going to create two circle objects. We can do the same thing over here with a main method, but to make it even more better, more clear, I am going to create another class which is called circle demo. And within the circle demo, I am going to have the main method. Over here, I am going to create the circles. Circle 1 equals to new circle. When I use control space, it says me these three parameters to give. You can see Eclipse is asking for these three parameters. I cannot create a circle without these three parameters. So I am going to give the x coordinate as 1, y coordinate as 2, radius as for example 7. Now this circle object is created. When I call new circle, it goes, if you use control and click on this, it will take you to that method or constructor. It will have xc as 1, yc as 2, radius as 7. So what it is going to do, it will create a new circle object in primary memory, and that circle object will have its x, y and radius value initially unassigned. But now while creating the object will assign some value. Object will tell that, okay, keep x as 1, y as 2 and radius as 7, what we have given. So this is how the object will be created with the values that we have provided. Now the circle 1 object is created. I am creating another circle which is called circle 2 with some different values. Say for example 3, 5 and it's 3. Now two circle objects are loaded into memory. What I am going to do is I am going to have radius 1 equal to circle 1 dot calculate area. Sorry, this is radius, this is area 1. So I am going to create the area of circle 1. Let's save that into area 1. I am having float area 1. It is going to call circle 1's calculate area method, and whatever value is returned from circle 1's calculate area, that is going to be saved into area 1. Similarly, I can have another area 2, and I'll have circle 2 dot calculate area. I want to print the values. Circle 1 area is area 1. Similarly, circle 2 area is area 2. Now just go through this, okay, these three types of statements that I have written. If you want, I can make it even more zoom. Just go through this and try to understand what it is trying to do. I am creating the circle object with three different values, and I am calling the constructor of circle. Now the constructor is not blank, it is taking three values. This type of constructor is called parameterized constructor. Okay, when the constructor is having no parameters, that is called default or dummy constructor. But when the constructor is having some parameter, it's parameterized constructor. I am giving the parameter as x coordinate, y coordinate and radius value. With the help of those three values, the circle object is created, and that object which is created, that memory location is placed into circle 1. Similarly, I am creating another circle object with some different value. A new memory location is created. That memory location is saved into circle 2. What I am doing next is, I am calling the circle 1's calculate area. And this calculate area, if you control and click on that, it is going to go to that method, and it is going to execute this statement as 3.14 float multiplied by this radius value will be the radius value which was saved for circle 1. If you look at circle 1, we have given the radius value as 7. So when I call calculate area, the radius value is going to be 7. 3.14 into 7 into 7. A new area will be calculated, and that area is returned. When I use return statement, it means that whoever is calling this method is going to get this value. So if you look at this calculate area, I am calling this method, and when this is executed, this method will return some value, and that will be saved into area 1. Similarly, circle 2, when I call circle2.calculate area, it will access circle 2. See the constructor, it is having radius 3. It will access calculate area, it will have radius as 3 into 3 into 3.14. This will have the new area, and it will return that value to whoever has called it. Circle2.calculate area I was calling in this line, and the value will be stored into area 2. And I can print those two values over here. So, do you have any doubt? I'll come to your point the way, just hold on. Okay, let me know what is the problem, where you cannot understand. Okay, everyone is silent. What happened? Sanya, you understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you don't have any doubt?
No, sir.
Avinash, Nasutosh?
Yeah, understood.
It is okay for you, Asutosh?
Yes.
Avinash, fine for you? Okay, Devashish bhai, it's fine for you? You understood?
Yes, yes.
Great. So this will be little confusing initially. When we create a new object, try to understand that this object is created in memory with some specific set of value 1, 2, and 7 as x, y, and radius values. Similarly, another circle object. Now this is not the same memory object. This is a different memory object, and this is having some 3 different values. Understood? So I am pointing to these memory locations using this reference, circle 1 and circle 2. Okay. Now your point is, when you ask me why am I doing this thing, why I set the value or why I passed this value, I could have directly written the circle's area is 3.14 into like this one 7 into 7. But again, when I want to calculate circle 2's area, I'll write the same logic over here, right? So this is the reusability. When I have this circles method, calculate area method, you can see I have written it only once on some of the variables, and whatever the value of variable radius is at that point of time, this is going to be executed, this is going to be calculated. So I don't have to write this logic in all the areas whenever I am doing something with a circle. I can have a circle specification, I can have a circle class in which I can say that this is how the circle's area is calculated. Okay, and whenever somebody is calling this calculate area, it's their responsibility to set the value of radius initially so that this calculate area will work properly. Is it being clear, Devashish? Or you still have some doubt?
Hare, one doubt. Not a doubt, but I think it is a requirement. Means we are creating two area.
Mm-hmm. We are creating
two area, one and area 2.
Right.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If it is n number of, so user not means the requirement like n number of user, whatever user will use, we don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how to test that one? N number of. So we are not creating n number of area. So user suppose 127 it is there.
Okay.
So I want to enter 937. Suppose it depends upon the user.
Okay.
Okay. So how to write those codes?
So you are saying that I have created this class with some hard-coded value 1, 2, and 7.
Correct.
Right? We don't know what the user is going to give.
Correct.
We don't know what the user is going to give. See, this is a command. This is not a software, complete full-fledged software. So when we go to a complete full-fledged software, we'll have a control over the input channel. Okay, we can read the input the user has given us. Okay,
That is the question.
that is the question. How we can read the input from the user, right? To do that, now you see when we run this code, the only point of contact is this console. Whatever we see, that is in the console, right? So using this console itself, we can enter some value. Using this console, we can ask the user to give us the values of x coordinate, y coordinate and radius. Then those values we can put into this value. Okay, we'll do that. Let me run this code once and let me see if these two circles are having two different area. That is clear. Now these two circles are calculating two different values. Now the question of Avinash is how we can set these values differently. Okay, I'll tell you how to do that. See, I want to have int x coordinate. Similarly, I'll have y coordinate and I'm going to have radius. Okay, now I want to have some value of x coordinate, y coordinate and radius dynamically, which the user is going to give me at runtime, which I can put over here, right? So I'm going to give over here x coordinate, y coordinate and radius. Okay,
Input function.
okay, so when I give these three references, these three values over here, but I'm not giving any hard coded value. Okay, if I make these values say for example x coordinate equals to 1, y coordinate equal to 4, radius equal to 6. Okay, when I initialize these three values, when I give these three variables 1, 4 and 6, three values, and if I pass them over here, now this circle is going to be created, circle object is going to be created with 1, 4 and 6, right? But still this value is not taken from user, we have given the input ourselves, right? So let me do one thing, I am copying these three values for circle 2 as well. And for circle 2, I am having 4, 2 and 9, so for example, and I am not going to have copy paste. Now the circle 1 will be created with 1, 4 and 6, circle 2 will be created with 4, 2 and 9, but still these values are hard coded by me. My question is, like my solution that I am going to do is, we are going to take these values from users. So what we can do is, there is a class in Java which helps us to read data from user at runtime from the console. That is what we call scanner. Okay, scanner can read the data from the console. If you go to the top, I have imported it. It's called java.util.scanner. Importing is something which is like reusing some of the utilities which was created earlier in our class. So this utility was created by Java itself, Java utility package, we have scanner. So I'm using scanner, this is the class name, this is the reference name, equal to new scanner. So basically I'm creating the object of scanner, right? While creating the object of scanner, if you put your mouse on that, scanner is asking for an input source, okay, or some source from which we can read the data. So I'm going to say it console. Directly Java won't understand what is a console, but Java tells console as it is a system dot in. So this is the line, like this is the SYSTEM. So using system.in, Java understands that this is the console's input stream. To read something from console, if you use this thing, it is going to system.in, it is going to read from console. And to be able to get those data, to be able to read those data in our code, I am going to use scanner. So now I have scanner which is connected to system.in, that is system's input stream, that is console. And I can use scanner to read data from user. So what I am going to ask user using a simple message, enter x coordinate. Understood? I'm asking user to enter x coordinate. So the user will be prompted enter x coordinate. After that I can write x coordinate equal to scanner dot next int. Understood? As it is an integer variable, I can save the value scanner whatever user has entered. Say for example user has entered 2. So scanner dot next int will be 2 and that will be saved into x coordinate. Similarly, I can ask user to enter y and radius values. Enter y coordinate and I can save that into y coordinate and I can save the radius value scanner dot, it is also an integer value. I'm going to give the message as enter radius. Let's take
Sir,
okay. Go on.
so scanner dot next int.
Yes.
So next int is a method, na?
Perfect. Next int is a method.
Which is in scanner.
Which
scanner
is in
class.
scanner class. Perfect. Which is in scanner class.
Okay.
And next int is a method which is going to return you the integer value read from the console. So this method is having a return type, integer type. So we are putting this value into an integer variable. Understood? Now we are reading these three values from console and we have received the values for the first circle object. We are going to do the same thing now for the second object. While we are not going to hard code anything now. Okay, we can remove the hard coding from here. Now I'll zoom out. Now we have circle 2. See, now Avinash, I think you can see we don't have any value which is hard coded. If we run
Yes,
this,
that is.
One second. So should I run this? Right click, run
Yes.
as Java application. Now look at the console. It says enter the x coordinate value. Right? Enter x coordinate. I'm going to give 2. Enter. It will ask me for y coordinate 3. Again, let's give it some value 6. If I click enter, what is going to happen? This value will be read, radius. It will go to circle object creation and it will calculate the area. Now it is done. Circle 1 object is created. This is the line. Okay, this is executed now. Circle 1 is created. After that, it is again asking me for x coordinate, y coordinate, and z. And these three things are for creating circle 2 object. I'll go to console. It is asking for x coordinate. This is going to be second circles 3, 4, and 5. Now you can see the circle 1's area is 113.04, 78.5. Now your user is like user can give any value and any type of circle can be created, any type of radius will be automatically executed out of that. Understood?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
That is.
Okay, anyone else is having any doubt in this part?
Sir,
Bolo. Go on.
we are using integer value. That's why we are using next int. If we are using float and something else, then what we are going to use?
Perfect. You can have, see, in Eclipse, this is the best tool, Eclipse, because when you use control space, you are going to see all the methods present in a class. So scanner is the class reference. After that,
Yes.
there is dot. When you use dot and control space, it is going to tell you all the methods that are available. Next int is available. If you look at the documentation, it says scans the next token of the input as an integer value. Similarly, if you go to next byte, next sort, next string will be there. Just go below. Here you can see string next, and it is no, it's not that value. I'll tell you. Next string will be there. Okay, scanner dot next long. For long and float, you can call similarly next long, next float. You will have, I think next is the only 1 second. Yes, scanner.next you can call. This is the next method. If you call just next without int and all, it is going to find and returns the next complete token from the scanner. So basically it will return you the string. If you call just scanner.next, it will return you the string.
Okay.
Got it? Devas is right? So
Yes, got
okay,
it.
you got it now. Why we set the values? Once we set the value, the object will have its own values, right? Whenever we call some functionality, it will execute based on that particular value. Okay. Avinash, you have any other doubt?
No. Thing is, you are declaring only integer values, right?
Okay.
So in the output, it is coming as a float value.
Okay,
Are
output
we-
is coming as float value because of the business logic. Because of the business logic of area calculation is like that only. What is the rule to calculate area? It is 3.14, that is pi into radius square, right? So when you square two integer values, it is going to be integer only. But when you multiply with a decimal value 3.14, it is going to be somehow different, na? Understood? So that is the reason we are setting the calculate area method's return type as float. If you go to calculate area method, you can understand. So I'll share all the code with you. Don't worry. So,
okay. I actually forgot that float
okay, this
area.
is 3.14
Got it.
is for pi, right? Pi's value is decimal. Okay.
No. Actually, the result is in float. I actually follow it.
Okay.
Now I got it.
Okay. Asutosh, it's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Ranjit,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, another question I have.
Yes, go on.
So method always returns a value, right?
Yes, it always returns a value.
But what main method returns?
See, if you look at the return type of a method
Yes.
has to define a return type. Okay, we say main method's return type as void. You can see that, right? Void. So whenever you have a method's return type as void, it is not mandatory to return anything. Okay, it's not mandatory to return anything, but you can return. Return says that from there you don't need to go to the next step. If you go to calculate area, we have return area, right? So whenever this line is executed, it says that don't go ahead, just go back from this place to whoever has called this method. Somebody is calling calculate area. When this is executed, it will go back to calculate area with this value. And if you go to calculate area caller, if this is the place where we are calling the calculate area, we have come back to this location after executing return, and we have received some value. That value we can put into area. It's not mandatory to put there. If you don't put, it's working fine, but we are using that value. That is the reason. Okay, now the point is main method, right? Main method returns nothing because we are never calling the main method. We are not like expected. We don't expect any value from main method. If we are calling the calculate area, we are expecting the area to be present, right? So we are storing it. If you are calling the main method from console, do you expect the main method to return you some value? What would you do with that value? If you want something, you can print that directly, right? But you don't need anything to be returned from the main method. That's the reason we have the void as the type of main method.
So if I'll write that public static instead of void, I'll write int main, then it will be error, right?
No, it won't be error. It is fine because it is the structure of a class. A structure of a method. You're not doing anything wrong. That is fine. But Java won't execute that method. Because Java executable, it specifically searches for public, static, void, main, string, arrays. This is the thing which Java basically interpreter searches for. If you don't have that, Java will say that there is no main method present in this class.
Okay.
Clear?
So while declaring constructor, so you are just mentioning that public, then constructor name, right?
Right.
So,
That
what
is
is the
a sim-
difference between public constructor name and only constructor name?
See, that is again the scope which I have not yet defined. I have not yet told you. We'll discuss
Okay.
about public, private, protected, default, all these
No.
things when we talk about inheritance. That is there.
So,
If you go to
so
syllabus, we have
I mean,
it.
there is a difference
There is
between
a difference.
public.
There is a difference.
Okay.
Yes, there is a difference.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll share this video with you with the code that I have written, and I have some of the questions as well. Okay, based on method creation, okay, object
Okay.
creation and all. But we could not complete this overloading thing. That will complete in the next class. Okay, overloading is something which we'll discuss in next class. Leave it now. Okay,
So,
Sanjay.
whatever you just, told us, right?
Mhm.
Is that a part of method overloading?
Not yet. We have not yet touched method overloading. Method overloading, that word specifically tells that you will have two methods with the same name. But we just have one method. We have not yet touched overloading. We are going to reach there. Okay.
So here,
Go on.
yes, I mean, what you told, right?
Mm-hmm.
So generally, you, basically, you created two class.
Mm-hmm.
So you and created object. I mean, how to call the constructor,
Right.
then through object, then
We are setting the value
Right.
using constructor, and using the help of this object's reference, we are calling the method. That's what we have seen till now. I'll give you some examples based on that only.
okay.
Okay, Sanya, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir. Sir, if we create any constructor, then constructor should be same with class name, right?
Right.
So, sir, then why constructor doesn't give any return type, sir? Because we are not using void with that method, sir.
We're not using void. See, that is that is the rule of Java. We cannot say. We could have asked why Java said main. Why Java could have said something else. But that is the rule which Java has said us. We are going to follow that. It's not mandatory. We cannot say what Java should do. Java has told us to use the constructor that way only.
No, like you are saying now, if we are using void with the main method, then it's mean it doesn't give any return type.
Mm-hmm.
So we are doing same things with constructor, na?
Yes.
Public
See,
and
first
then
of all,
class name and
constructor.
then
First of all, the first rule that constructor that Java has for the classes and constructors is that a constructor should never have a return type. Understood?
this is the rule of Java.
This is the
already
rule of Java.
predefined by the Java.
Yes. So we cannot write void int anything. We cannot write anything.
Okay.
Understood?
Okay, sir.
Great. Okay, so I think you will have this weekend to just revise everything, whatever we have understood, and you try to practice and try to solve the question that I'm about to send you. And anytime if you have any doubt, just give me a ping on WhatsApp or Hangout. I'll try to revert as soon as possible. So we are going to wind up the class. We'll meet again on Monday the same time.
Okay, sir.
Fine.
Any assignments?
Yeah, I'll send you one mail.
And yesterday's whatever the class we have done, no, that video in share area.
Okay, I'll share that video, but again another problem is that video has